Hello, everybody, and it's Monday again as the carousel goes round and round and the painted ponies go
Pony.
up and down.
The circle game.
That's right. Very good. Joni Mitchell references. That's all Grammy.
She's
And
still alive too, which is the
she
amazing
is.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, she's lived a long time with MS. I'll tell you that.
Hmm.
But, you know, we witnessed a Super Bowl, and here I am to talk to you
Oh
about
God.
it. There's the first thing that is the most significant thing is, with the fallout of victory. Oh, what are you snouting me for? I fed you.
No, he's hungry. He wants some of those Doritos or something, man.
I do. I want the Dorito chips. I do. Give them to me.
No.
Give them to me. Yeah. They, he's being
Dinamita.
What a dog. My God. Uh, the thing about these games after there's the winners,
Yeah.
Taylor Swift and Kelsey, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and then there's the losers, Shanahan, and Shanahan.
And everybody who stayed up to watch the fucking game.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, Shanahan now is the patron of lost causes. All right. And in the press, thank God they can ignore the Cavaliers winning and they can at least aim their arrow at somebody else besides Cleveland.
Correct. Yeah.
And now it's Shanahan. But I want to point something out that I think it really fits into a lot of the things that we talk about on the program all the time. And I relate everything to like boxing because
you do.
And the reason is it's mano a mano, and there is strategy involved. And while you take into account who your opponent is, and you certainly don't move to the to the right into a Joe Frazier left hook, at the same time, or to the left into a Deontay Wilder wild right hand. No, you got to have some strategy, but you build your strategy on your strengths. If you're Muhammad Ali, you move. All right, you use your defensive skills. You outwit your opponent. You get them tired, and then you beat them up. You beat them with a jab. You use your length. There's a whole bunch of things, And in UFC, it's true too. I just know a whole hell of a lot less about UFC than I do historically about boxing. So Shanahan, after the game, it was said that some of his players did not know the overtime rule that was being used for the Super Bowl.
God, that's a dreadful omission, isn't it?
Admission. But here's the interesting thing is that they forced him to talk about this. And here, it's always what you say that kills you, not what you don't say.
Correct.
And somebody should tell that to Joe Biden. I mean, the bottom line is if you don't know, don't open your mouth.
Yeah.
Prior to the game, Shanahan said that he and his analytics staff discussed overtime possibilities and decided that with Patrick Mahomes on the other side, it would be best to take the ball first, because that would also mean that the Niners would get the ball third in the event both teams match points on their opening possessions and overtime progressed into sudden death. Now, take that in for a minute.
Okay.
All right.
Taking it in.
I mean, it sounds,
sounds plausible. Yeah.
Sounds plausible. Absolutely. But who in the fuck creates a scenario where a game goes into overtime in which the main possibility that you were ruining, Mr. Shanahan, was that Patrick Mahomes was on the other side? Oh, no, not him. He wins Super Bowls. We lose Super Bowls. Somebody has to be the new Buffalo Bills. So this is what you get. The first consideration is that Patrick Mahomes is on the other team. You've already lost, okay? If that's the main decision, I'm going to go back to a guy who I hate, Mike Tomlin, because of the way he teaches his players. But, he's smart enough to know exactly how his team's going to win. It is not going to happen with offensive flourishes.
No.
It's going to come with late hits and personal fouls and playing hard, rugged, dirty football and grinding out games and just pushing your will on your opponent.
And getting the other team to react so that they get the penalties and not you.
But just to literally assert yourself and your will over your opponent. That's correct. The way they play. There are other teams who have won completely different ways with wide open, whether it was the old West Coast offense for the 49ers when they were good. Joe Montana and Young and all, that whole group.
Yeah.
Every team has an identity, but obviously Shanahan does not know his own team's identity, because what he's saying is, we're going to take the ball first because Patrick Mahomes is on the other side. And that means we get the ball third again when they score more points. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, what? Why? Why would you go in with that mindset? Now, I'll tell you this, and everybody knows that there are things about Kevin Stefanski that I think are very stubborn and thick-headed. But nobody has to tell Kevin that the defense was the star of the team. Nobody had to explain that to him.
No.
You kick a field goal because you honestly believe your team can stop the other team. If you believed what Shanahan believed based on what he calls analytics, but what I call pissing your pants, you would not have found this strategy that he took to be a particularly intelligent one.
No, they should have gone for it.
That's right. Why would you kick the field goal if this is what your analytics told you? It just sounds like he's making shit up as he goes along, and he didn't have any faith in his team.
That's even more disturbing, that he's just making shit up, because that makes no sense. It's a Chewbacca defense again, like we often talk about. It makes no sense. Move.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that. And he wonders why he consistently loses in the Super Bowl. It's because you don't have a clear vision. And my feeling is that if nothing else, Kevin Stefanski has some kind of a vision. I'm not sure that vision includes calling plays consistently in fourth and short. Although in the back half of the season, it got better when we just run the ball and get the goddamn thing rather than, trying trick plays that go backwards. But that's the first thing that stood out to me afterwards. It was like, God, you could have gone for it, and you could have basically then said, you stop this team, so you kick the field goal and you say to your defense, you stop this team, you've won the Super Bowl. But they couldn't because the coaching staff didn't believe they could stop Patrick Mahomes when it really counted. Here's the other thing I take away from the game. The Cleveland Browns didn't just beat the 49ers, they clubbed them to death.
Correct, they did.
And the 49ers looked no better than they did against us.
Yeah, they're a finesse team.
Yeah, their offense is predicated on a 7th-round draft pick who has been a great Cinderella story, but he doesn't have a great arm. He doesn't have great mobility. And for a lack of a better thing to say, he's going nowhere.
He's doesn't have athleticism, period. I mean,
again, if you're Shanahan, we got Purdy and they got Mahomes. We're taking the ball. We got to keep scoring. But I don't know how we're going to do that with Purdy. I know how they're going to do it with Mahomes.
Wow.
either one of these teams, the Cleveland Browns could have beaten.
Yeah, I think
That's
so.
what I'm telling you. I'm not saying, well, maybe. I'm saying, definitely.
Okay.
Now, here's the problem. And I make no excuses because the Houston Texans beat the crap out of the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, deservedly so. I mean, they dominated that game.
But if the league were the same way as the NBA is, your record would count, not where
Yeah.
you are in your own conference.
Well, maybe they'll get to that point where they do a 1 through 8, and
Well, they're
Yeah.
not going to become
Yeah.
enlightened. God only knows what it takes for those assholes.
well,
get-
I mean, I've often said that go to a 14-game season, just play in your own conference, and you play 2 games each against your division and 2 other divisions, and that's it. And fuck these like interconference games and everything.
As long as strength of schedule is going to be a factor that's written about, right?
Yeah.
It's the bottom line is, and the Browns have a tough schedule next year. You got to win. If you don't win enough games, you're not in the playoffs. And it's that way with the NBA, where you play different teams. Cavaliers have been going through a very nice stretch where they're playing teams who have either traded away their best players like the Raptors or have given up like the Wizards.
Or got guys hurt like the Sixers tonight. I mean, my
And
God.
well, the Sixers are a better team, but without Embiid, they're certainly not nearly as good as what they would normally be. But I guess what I'm saying is, I didn't get the feeling watching the Super Bowl that these were like, oh, wow, this is what we aspire to be.
Yeah, they were not elite looking teams, were they?
No, they were not.
It was a piece of piss, that game.
We could have whipped on their asses without even thinking twice about it. Yet Mahomes, they're going to all say, hey, Patrick Mahomes. It's like, he didn't do shit.
You know what he is? He is the Steph Curry of the NFL. He even looks a bit like Steph Curry. He's littler like Steph Curry compared to the other players on the team. And he fucking dangles his mouthpiece and chews out like Steph Curry. So I think they're the same fucking bloke. I mean, they're not, those two guys will be in their respective Hall of Fames, but they won't be considered among the greatest players to ever play their game.
I'm not going to
They will
take
not
anything.
be.
I'm not going to take anything away from,
I will.
with Patrick Mahomes. No, I don't see that the game that he played, that he brought his A game to the Super Bowl.
No, I mean,
and that they rolled over the opposition. The guy who Shanahan was afraid of didn't show up in the first 3 quarters of the game. I mean, come on.
He was balled up for the first half. He couldn't do anything.
That's right. And sure enough, when the game came down to it, he threw to wide open Kelsey, and I don't know what defense they were playing for the 49ers that was suddenly rendering that player wide open in the middle of the field.
Well, that muff punt and then the quick touchdown pass right after that was the big momentum switch. But
and again, watch the final touchdown of the game. I mean, they run. This is not what I would call ultimate genius. It's not that Andy Reid is a sweet genius. He's not. But what he did is he put a man in motion. And if you look at the guy who's in the end zone, first of all, why is he far back in the end zone? No.
Why?
Why know that? Then the other thing is his eyes are moving, watching the guy in motion, and they immediately get the guy out of the flat, and
boom.
Nico Hardman catches the ball, and the guy who is supposed to be coming up to the line of scrimmage just ends up in the middle of the end zone. It's like everyone's being way too easy on these people. I mean, that was the most inept defense play. I complained about it with the Browns, but it's like a team is going for it, and it's important. They have to get the score, and and they're compacted in like on the 2-yard line. You play tight, man. What are you doing sitting 6 yards deep in the end zone? What the fuck are you doing? And and you're looking like this. And once you're looking with your eyes, and the guy immediately sprints out and he's fast, in that split second, it's all done.
Yeah, I mean the compare the John Elway drives against the Mahomes drive last night. I mean, you'd say John Elway showed far more skill and play construction in that drive than Mahomes did. So, but anyway, that doesn't matter. We're old.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I sat and watched it. It was entertaining. It was exciting till the end, and the underdog lost, and the gambling institution is saying, "Oh, this was a tough one on us," and they can just go down on me because it's like nothing's tough for the house. The house. And they're like, no.
They made a fortune on the in-play with the 49ers up for most of that game. So, yeah.
I mean, it's, but it was entertaining to watch. And I just look at it and say, man, if we just didn't have every one of these injuries, I mean, if it's just a couple, you know, but geez, if we just had the strength of our team, our offensive line.
Well, even if we had some of the injuries later in the year, I mean, we would have had a better record. I mean, we would have probably been able to beat the Rams or the Broncos with a Nick Chubb on the team and, a few other players.
And what can you say about a poor son of a bitch who tears his Achilles trotting out onto the field?
That was grim. That was so grim.
I can't imagine, and I think people don't understand because I've explained that Dan Marino tore his Achilles pulling out of center. He was underneath. He took his first step back and dropped like somebody shot him, right?
Yeah.
And the damage is all there and it's hanging by a thread. And, you don't know when the thread's going to break. And when it breaks, it doesn't matter where in the hell you are. And this guy was just trying to trot out onto the field and everything caved in. I mean, that's just got to be second quarter of the game you've waited for your whole life. And that's what happens to you. Now he'll never forget the game.
And they're still hanging Dan Marino over never winning a Super Bowl when he's a far better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, there's no comparison. You'd rather have Marino every time.
I will leave the fate of Shanahan in the hands of the not so capable press. His final quote: "What I can't live with is when I do stuff I didn't plan on doing or that I didn't do and second guess myself. I'm proud of what we did today as a coaching staff and as players in terms of we worked and we did everything we planned on doing. We just didn't get it done." Well, you know something?
Wow.
Getting it done. You know what that would be like? That would be like saying, I'm really proud of the fact that we brought this is going to be a little bit weird. A jazz format onto my radio station.
We're really proud. The fact that only 5 people listened to it is neither here nor there.
What I wanted to do, John Coltrane,
Coltrane.
I did what I wanted to do, and it just didn't make it in the ratings. There's 1,000,001 excuses as to why something doesn't work. The bottom line is either your way works or it doesn't. Shanahan and the 49ers failed. They were close, but no cigar. They failed. And if they did not do everything they planned on doing, that is a lie. I don't think that McCaffrey planned on fumbling the ball or a punt returner would end up muffing it or that any number of things that
was weird. I think the ball bounced off the guy. Leg, and then the guy realized, oh fuck it, I have to go try to recover this, and he had no chance of falling on it even. So that was
Hey,
unlucky.
this headline: Andy Reid, Travis Kelce vow to return to Chiefs next season. Well, why in the fuck wouldn't they? But I want to know if Taylor Swift is going to be with Kelce. That's what I want to know. I bet you she's not.
Well, I feel sorry for the poor girl because she's going to have to deal with his CTE and his
No, she's not.
aggressiveness 20
Have you
years from
seen
now
the
if they
list?
get married.
Have you seen the list of men that she's dated?
No, I haven't. I'm not on there, by the way, but I
Well,
should be.
look, high profile paparazzi people.
Yeah.
This is a career strategy. Okay. Don't
Yeah.
for a minute get confused between career strategy and love. Don't get these things confused, folks.
Oh, I try not to.
When the world finds out that Taylor Swift likes women, then people will say, God, I guess that was all bullshit, wasn't it? You know, it was like, God, there was this great pole vaulter and he won the Olympics and he was on a Wheaties box. You know, we had to wait. We had to wait to find out, you know?
We found out eventually.
Yeah, we found out eventually. So there ain't nothing going to be decided today. Don't need anything decided today. But we'll see. If they're back again next year, we'll see if she's with them or not. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But you know something? Something tells me that the Kardashian methodology is at work here. And it's worked. Look, her publicity people, I mean, picked the right guy, the right situation, and it just paid off literally in spades. I mean, that's as good as it gets from a publicity perspective. So everybody who's pissed off about it is taking this way too seriously. It's just marketing.
Yeah, the fact that you
So
actually know marketing and can see for what it is, I mean, it is pretty obvious. But
yeah. And Kelce did end up with 93 yards in receptions, even though we got off to a horrifically slow start. You know,
well, the 49ers defense looked like the Joe Woods defense in the second half and the overtime.
and now Ashley Bastock from our least favorite site, cleveland.com. Headline: No, Taylor Swift isn't ruining football. She's just not hiding her relationship with Travis Kelce. She sure as fuck isn't. I mean, you know something? I don't publicize my relationships. All right? I don't do that. What is this notion? She's not hiding it. No, it's publicity. She's making it as public as she humanly can. And it's great for Travis Kelce. She's pretty. She's talented. He's talented. All this camera time. Kelsey's on TV ads now. It's awesome.
Oh, well, that leads me straight on to one of my comments would be that sure, Taylor Swift was on camera time, but did you see any crowd shots that didn't focus in on a celebrity? They avoided showing the crowd in the stadium because the crowd in the stadium was not cheering for anybody.
No,
the crowd in the stadium was so quiet that not a single quarterback ever cuffed their ears over their helmet so that they could hear the plays properly, or told the crowd with their arms to calm down and quiet down. There was no problems with hearing the plays on the field because there was a bunch of billionaires and millionaires in that crowd, and there wasn't any fucking real fans there.
You know, here's what I can say. The fans after the game, what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas because they didn't appear to be cheering for anybody. I just think I mean,
you heard this like weird rush of noise way off in the distance. Like maybe there was like a couple thousand fans, like of one team over in one section of the boonies, and then another section of Loudville had another like couple hundred fans, and that was all you heard. You heard this really delayed rush of a little bit of crowd noise, and
And
that
you know
was it.
something, Christopher? You're absolutely right.
Well, no one
The
can
people
afford
who
the
are
tickets.
buying all the team paraphernalia, they can't afford the tickets. And
No.
the most sterile place in America, Las Vegas, Nevada.
I mean, you can
I mean,
next expect a Super Bowl at Disney World. You know, that's the next thing. That's the next step.
well, I would at least understand that, but for all the effort the league has put in to pretend that they are legitimate over the years. And
Oh God!
all of
And
the anti-gambling things and how the players got into trouble, and this is for the good of the game and the integrity of the game. For this game to be played in Las Vegas, Nevada, says it all. And it's not even that Vegas now is the gaming capital of the world, because you know what it is? Your phone is the gaming capital of the world. They don't give a fuck if you go to that game or not.
Yeah, I could watch Cavs games. I can watch the Cavs games tonight on a local English betting site for free. You know, all I have to do is like put in like a 50p bet, and I can watch the games. So I mean, it's crazy. It absolutely makes no sense.
11,000 and up. That's incredible. For that, Taylor Swift should fillet me. $11,000, and Rick's got it absolutely right. Yeah, what do they know about football? They've been watching the Raiders. Yeah.
Well, it was so sterile. I mean, people
Yeah.
need to understand, and I think that's purpose. That's on purpose to take the real passion of the game. Like when Joe Namath got carried off the field on Super Bowl III, there were passionate fans there because only the people who really cared about football at that time went to Super Bowls, in the late 60s, early 70s. Now, it's now a fashionable event that Shaquille O'Neal and LeBron James and all that can show up, and then all these corporate suites where they all fillet each other for extra business.
But
It's just sickening.
the original movie Rollerball with James Caan,
Yep.
the
That
notion,
foresaw all this.
And North Dallas 40, another movie, it's like, they're not the team. It's like, we're not the team. They're the team. They're the team.
Yeah.
And they're pointing to the owners. That's what it is. This is a fucking business. And every illusion you could imagine for gambling and gaming and everything associated with marketing, they don't give a fuck whether you can afford to buy a ticket to that game, because you're going to be watching it on CBS,
Yeah.
and you're paying for your Spectrum TV bill, your Direct TV bill, or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, you have to pay to watch it on TV now.
I mean, it is all, they're the team. And fans, I hate to say this, but fans are so easily duped into this. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I understand you have a desire that you want your team to win, but deep down lurking, there's a frustration that makes you hate that team too. And that's what happens all the time, is that, we go into the season with high hopes. And then, in any other city, if the Pittsburgh Steelers said, Kenny Pickett, we're not, we got Deshaun Watson instead, they would all be going, yeah, not in Cleveland. No, not in Cleveland. And the problem with fans is they turn on a dime. I've been reading on Twitter from Cavaliers fans. It's incredible. I don't know what better you can do than 17 out of 18 games.
Oh,
winning. I don't know what else they can do, for God's sakes. They're winning on the road. They're winning at home. But still, people are saying, Okoro's not the right guy. Mobley's never going to be what they said he was going to. Who said what he was going to be? And you know something? He's in the third fucking year of his career. I mean, do you remember Milwaukee Bucks fans saying, I don't think that Giannis is going to get any bigger and stronger? Go back and look at Giannis. His first year, he averaged 6.7 points per game. Then he averaged 13, and then he averaged 16. Before he got into the 20s, he was 4 per game. He was 4 years into the league. All right. It is, but no. Fans are always change, and they distort history And look, just because LeBron James came into the league and he's the greatest player who ever played,
Correct.
and he came into the league at a young age and he was like ready to rumble, he got significantly better within the first 3-4 years.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is that if players work at their game, look at Donovan Mitchell. He was the 13th selection in the draft.
Wow.
And playing out of Louisville. And I don't think anybody would have thought that Donovan Mitchell was going to become this fine a basketball player at that point. And 12 teams didn't think so. Now, did they? But he's worked on his game, worked on his body. But I can see with my own eyes Evan Mobley evolving. He's starting to make three-point shots. First of all, he's trying to take them, and he's making them. Not only that, he's not going into the lane and doing the head and shoulder fake bullshit. He's going up strong and taking it to the hole and jamming the ball through in people's faces. He's getting stronger. He's getting more confident. And his defense has always been top notch. He's going to get nothing but better. But you hear these Cleveland fans, we got to trade Darius Garland. It's like, if you're going to be an asshole, do it on your own private time, not on my social media time. For God's sakes, Darius Garland had a broken jaw, could not eat solid food, lost 12 pounds, and lost muscle mass.
Wow.
He came back, and I'd be the first to admit, his shot doesn't look right, and I'm sure that he's not strong in the legs. He's going to have to keep playing and play through this to get himself back in playing shape. That's the deal. People don't realize how finely tuned these athletes are because they sit at home and they eat
they've never played,
their Campbell's Chunky Soup or whatever the fuck they do. And they eat their banquet Salisbury steak frozen dinners. And you have no idea the degree that these athletes have to be in condition to play the ridiculous, crazy fast pace that's going on in the NBA. But the Cleveland Cavaliers right now are the best team in the league. And if you're not watching them, you're missing something. And if you are watching them and you don't see that, you're an asshole. Now, do I think that they can continue playing this well?
Who knows?
Ups and downs. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have whatever things happen. But I'll tell you this. What the team did from a strategic perspective in adding players who are perimeter shooters has made all the difference for this team. And it's allowed a young guy like Okoro to feel free to take some of these shots. Whoever saw something in Sam Merrill is a genius, because I just saw a 6'4" slow white boy.
Yeah.
But honestly, the guy, he fits the description of a guy who he's a catch and shoot guy, and he's deadly. And Strus isn't even shooting well. But look at how hard he's playing and doing things that keep the game, going to the basket, being aggressive, being emotional. Even George Niang, for God's sakes, has discovered he can dribble the ball into the paint and use his mass to get the ball up and float it in. He's got a nice shooting touch. The team, and not to mention that Donovan Mitchell is the premier scoring guard in the league. It's not Steph Curry. That's a long time ago, folks.
Yep.
I mean, he can every so often turn on the Jets. Donovan Mitchell, game in and game out. He creates in a way, and his conditioning is impeccable. And, fans are saying, well, he's not going to remain with the Cavaliers. No, he's probably not. But that's not the point. The point is that the team got him here, and the team made decisions that surrounded him with people who could make perimeter shots. And the guys on our floor, like Jarrett Allen, are proving that they can improve by being a little bit more aggressive and by taking a few more shots. Jarrett Allen worked like mad on developing his left hand, not just his right hand. And it's so he finishes from both sides at the rim with floaters, and he runs the floor. Team runs the floor as well as any team in the league. They're in great physical condition, and they play rugged defense. How do you think you have a 21-0 run? I don't give a shit if it's against the Wizards. I don't give a shit who it's against if it's against the Nets. I don't give a shit. If you have a 21 to zip stretch in a game, you win.
Yeah, that's like high school scoring. I mean, look at the driftwood we had on the team last year. We had Raul Neto, we had Chetty Osman, we had Lamar Stevens, we had Danny Green, we had Robin Lopez. I mean, it's no wonder that we got our ass beat by the Knicks.
And the young players, the guys who are less experienced, like Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, and they didn't show up. And the Knicks got physical with the team, and the team didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know how to handle it. They fucked up.
The Knicks deserved that series.
Yes, they did. So. And everyone's saying, oh, they're going to do it to us again. And it's like, you sound a lot like Shanahan to me. You fear them. Oh, no, not Patrick Mahomes. No. But that's what you sound like. Oh, no, God, not the Knicks. Please, not. The Knicks haven't won anything since Hector was a pup.
Oh, not since Willis Reed. I think Stephen A. Smith.
Walt Frazier and Earl the Pearl Monroe and Dave DeBuscher. Give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
Jerry Lucas. Please.
John Havlicek.
Yeah, I mean, what is the recent success of the New York Knicks?
Oh,
and
God.
Bring them on one by one. The Cavaliers are a young team getting better, and they deserve better than what the fans are saying about them. And DJ Brobot, yep. The idea with Merrill is everything's off screens. And the problem is if Merrill's in the game at the same time LeVert is, it creates a problem because LeVert likes to just dribble the ball at the top of the key, and there's really nowhere for Merrill to run. And so he ends up hiding in a corner because the floor isn't getting space with LeVert pounding the ball. We need to, and what JB's done is he's rotating Garland and Mitchell. So that's the great thing about that. And moving LeVert over into more of a scoring wing kind of player. LeVert's still not my idea of a championship caliber player, but if you want to run more plays for Sam Merrill, it's got to be one of the primary ball handlers on the floor. And Merrill's getting fewer minutes because, let's be honest, I mean, you have Strus, you have Niang. These guys are putting together the runs that are, and Sam comes off the bench too and helps out in that regard. But Sam Merrill's the kind of a guy who is kind of like radioactivity. There's so much exposure that you can handle, but you don't want to get overexposed to Sam Merrill because he's not, he can take a charge, but he's not going to run down fast primary guards in the NBA. No. And he's too small to guard wings. So, oh, wait a minute. I'm reading something here.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. He was in the Daily Chat, still has the Panthers logo. Yeah. No, he's lost. I mean, you made such a big stand to say, okay, it's the Panthers. I'm going with Baker to the Panthers. Then what's he going to do? I'm going to go with Baker to the Buccaneers. And
no, you forget the Los Angeles Rams first. And then
it makes you look like you're Baker's butt boy, is what it makes you look like. So he's got to stand pat with a bad hand. That's what it amounts to. And Brian and I chat back and forth all the time, and he's really not a bad fella. The bottom line is that he kind of painted himself into a corner with a team that just isn't any good, whose ownership is all messed up.
Yeah.
And we know all about that. We've seen it in Cleveland for so long. And he'd be better off following Baker either to the Bucks or wherever Baker's going to go and be Baker's butt boy. Because
he'll probably get another contract, Baker, somewhere other than Tampa Bay.
Well, I think the pressure's on Tampa Bay just having a winning season, that they don't want, it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you if you don't have a proper backup for Baker, you're going to be worse next year, which I think they're going to be worse anyway. But be that as it may, and if you stay with Baker and you remain close to 500, that's not good enough. It's not going to get you into the playoffs again. So, hi Gemini, how you doing? It's good to see you. So yeah, I think deep down Brian is still a Browns fan. It's just that he can't see past Deshaun Watson, and that is a limitation in my opinion. But I can tell you things that when I was going through knee surgery, that Brian was there for me to talk with me through the whole thing. He's not a bad guy. It's just that he has his predilections, I guess, as all of us do. And, I never hold grudges just if I disagree with somebody about something. Then you got Terry Pluto, the masturbator, saying 4 awards for the Cleveland Browns. When did the love affair with this team begin? Certainly not with you, you Bible banger. It's like, your whole site has done nothing but just propagate negativity toward the Cleveland
hate.
Browns. Yeah.
Browns hate.
Fuck you, Terry Pluto, and fuck you, Cleveland.com. The fact is, we have some good players playing for us, and I hope that we get some more. I don't know where they're going to come from, but we got to figure it out. But don't ask stupid questions like that. When did the love affair begin? The love affair, the only love affair that matters is the love affair between the Browns and the NFL. The fans, you're either a fan or you're not. If you don't love your team, you're not a fan. Okay? It's that
It really
simple.
doesn't matter, whether you do or not.
But the love affair you really want is to love your team and for the NFL to love your team.
Yeah.
That's the way to get it done.
Oh, you gotta talk about the golf and get Peter Alice to comment about.
The Phoenix Open, which is a
you
golf
talk
tournament. Just a series of bizarre. That particular event has a history of bad fan behavior,
hooliganism, I would say.
Well, it's right out of Happy Gilmore, is what it amounts to. All right. So we're going to bring Peter Alice on here. Here we go. Oh, Phoenix, Arizona. Oh, home of Brian Hallman. Oh, what were you thinking? Bringing shotguns to a golf tournament. This is a staid conservative sport. It's not meant for hooliganism. This is not soccer. For God's sakes. If you notice that I'm echoing more, it's simply because, I'm deader than I was last year. And slowly the echo overtakes me, but I want to be heard about this. Women falling out of the stands on their heads, people fighting, people cursing, people yelling in the middle of somebody's backswing. It's Shooter McGavran shit. And Chubb is dead.
Yeah. Oh, there was a guy that jumped over the fence and started doing snow angels in one of the bunkers, apparently.
I mean, for God's sakes. What in the world? I mean, it's just...
The thing is, that gets plastered all over the world, and then people get to see, like, oh, yeah, this is what Americans are really like.
Well, I mean, and other golf tournaments. Well, this is completely acceptable in Phoenix, so why in the hell, Uh, they should take that right off of the tour. Honest to God,
Correct.
that's just ridiculous. They can't, And the thing is, it's not like they have security. You had a partial streaker in the Super Bowl.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh, well, everyone did. They're not going to show the person.
No,
but
I didn't even hear
Tony
about
Romo made the mistake of mentioning them and was rapidly corrected by Nance by saying, we don't talk about that. It's like, don't encourage these people. But when you read about it all over the internet that you can do snow angels in a bunker, I mean, what's going to be next? You're going to, it's, oh my God. Shooter McGavin is coming. Yeah. I mean, he's got a career now. Oh, Shooter.
Dear.
Yeah, it's pathetic. The whole thing is lame. At any rate, is there anything else I want to talk about? Let's see. The commercials in the Super Bowl.
Start off.
I guess I'm not attuned to that anymore because having spent
we're old.
No, it isn't that. My whole life, I started out when I flunked out of school as a selling airtime on a Christian radio station, the Tower of Faith. That was their slogan.
That sounds obscene.
the Tower of Faith Radio, WTOF in Canton, Ohio.
Here's my Tower of Faith.
Baby. And here's the pepperoni. But from the time I was young, sales. And so sales and marketing was great. And I love sales and marketing, and I've always had an interest. And now it's exclusionary because it's not like Joe's Plumbing can afford an advertisement on the Super Bowl. So what you basically get are, people who have an inordinate amount of money to blow. And that's kind of the way it works. And there were things that just made me shake my big cow head, like the RFK commercial.
Oh God, that was hilarious. I'm watching this thing in England at 3 a.m, going, "What the absolute fuck?"
Why didn't they just show a piece of John F. Kennedy's brains being splattered all over Jackie Onassis Kennedy? I mean, why? I mean, it's like, I can sum it up for you. You don't need to do old jingles and stuff like that. You can just have him staring at you going, did you know my last name's Kennedy? Yes, that Kennedy. Kennedy. I'm running as an independent, even though I'm not one. Kennedy. And that would be it.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like, this is what I stand for. He doesn't stand for anything.
No, he's crazier than the other two loons running. So
I'm trying to figure out what Dove Soap was doing. It's like, we're touting a program to teach young girls body confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when there's cheerleaders all over the field and
it's like, I mean, it's a nice thought. Girls. It's a nice thought. But
they mean well. They mean absolutely well, don't they?
They do, but you know what the problem is?
What's the
whole point of the commercial was young girls should, a percentage of them just give up athletics altogether, and it's because of body shaming and this and that, and and it's really kind of like a hidden message in here. If you're a woman weightlifter, if you're a woman athlete, your body is going to be big and muscular, okay?
Yeah.
And you're not going to look like the cheerleaders on the football field. And why are they giving up? And the answer is because they're weak-minded and they want to look like the cheerleaders. And it's unfortunate. I mean, I'm a fat guy. And believe me, you don't see people standing up saying, I aspire to look like Mr. Moohead. That's what I aspire
No,
to.
I've never heard anybody come on the show and say that. Or in this chat room.
Exactly right. And it doesn't matter how much weight I lose, I don't give a shit what people think about me. I don't care. And you know something? If you're a talented athlete, or if you just like to play athletics, you do your thing. I don't need fake body lotion soap to peddle the notion that I have personal worth. Of course you have personal worth. And
You
it's
should do that. I mean, that's what your parents should be giving you.
and the more you bring up body shaming,
the
the
more
more
it's going to
people,
happen.
yes, because people will get under people's skin. Just go on social media. When they see something that hits a raw nerve, they go right for it. So I didn't understand that commercial at all. The Christopher Walken thing I got a kick out of, just because everybody does try to do a Christopher Walken impression. But and I was really, it was nice that Gronk missing the field goal, but that they gave that final shout out to Carl Weathers, because it really was, it was sad. That's the last thing that he was going to do, and we had no idea. Nobody had any idea. And the motorcycle commercial, I didn't understand that. The Kawasaki commercial, where everything the motorcycle would pass would grow hair.
Yeah, that was.
I was really trying to
weird.
figure that one out.
Wow.
And Jennifer Aniston forgetting who David Schwimmer was. It's like, that's not even funny or cute.
And T-Mobile's never been funny either. So
no, I mean, but then there were the downright, who comes up with Dr. Umstick?
Dr. Umstick, yeah.
Yeah, for the ice cream drumstick,
Yeah.
for the confectionery ice cream treat.
Yeah, well, it's these people that are half our age coming up with this shit. But
and Lindt chocolate. Why in the world would you put a multi-million-dollar commercial on the Super Bowl with a song underneath the commercial by Perry Como?
Yeah.
Why in God's name would you do that? Mr. fucking relaxation singing while they're talking about chocolate.
I mean, if people out in the chat room don't know who Perry Como is, imagine if I was singing, and then you'd get some idea of what Perry Como was like.
No. I mean, let me see if I can. He's dead. He's dead.
Very dead. He's been dead for a while.
Mr. Relaxation. What would he sing? He would sing
Magic.
Yeah. Moments. Yeah. Right. Here's one from a television show. The bluest skies you've ever seen are in Seattle, and the hills the greenest green in Seattle, like a beautiful child growing up free and wild. I mean, it's like, well, enough of the echo. He's as dead as Peter Alice, and
more so.
I mean, why?
Why?
Whose idea was that?
I don't know.
And you know something? Whose idea is it to put Ken Jeong in any commercial? Why? Or having Mr. T scream at the top of his lung about the spelling of Skechers when they don't fit right and they're bad for your feet.
Yeah, they're dreadful.
So that's, again, it's whoever can afford it, and that's what passes for creativity.
In case people are wondering how in England I know these commercials, the broadcast on Field Pass here, they made a special point of showing the full American broadcast. The only thing I didn't see that you would have seen would be any local commercial breaks where the news team comes in and says, "At film at 11, fire down the street," or whatever. That they didn't show, obviously, but everything else was the strict American national feed all the way through. And that's what people want to see.
Yeah, Ron Leffman is bringing up a question. The tra-la-la guy.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Remember I was going to do that on saxophone one time and come on and play it?
Yeah, God almighty. He's dead too, hence the
He
echo.
is Edward Kill or whatever.
Yeah, he's quite dead. But yeah, it's just a matter of what's creative and what's not. And I guess, I think everybody is a little tired of Tony Romo. You know,
he's past his sub like that, but he's going to be better than Tom Brady's going to be. I mean, my God.
Ron Leffman is thanking me for the tra-la-la song. Oh, goodness gracious. And okay, Ken Jeong, because his connection to the movie Hangover, which was based in Vegas. It's like, well, it's still a bad idea putting him in anything. I mean, except a blender. If you put him in a blender, I'd get a kick out of that. Oh, for God's sakes. Well, at any rate, you know what I think now. And I'm not going to get into talking about whether Shanahan should have a job. He's, of course, going to have a job. The question is, do you ever really learn from anything? And winners do. And people who just commit the same mistakes over and over again, they never end up winning. And you got to be somewhat flexible in your approach.
So we got a comment about Kelsey running into his head coach, on the sidelines, having a rant.
You know something? I don't have a problem with it because, for one thing, I mean, it looked like a walrus mating ritual. All right,
it did a bit, yes.
Yeah, but I guess the other part of it is that, look, it's a passionate game, and in that moment, it's like, what the fuck you take me off the field for, man?
Yeah,
this is what you get when you take me off the field. Didn't you realize that?
Wow.
But no, I mean, it's not going to get blown up now, and it shouldn't get blown up because, it's two men who want to win. And, sometimes there are going to be disagreements. And, and I think that Kelsey, is a big name player who's had a lot of success, and he is allegedly boning Taylor Swift. So, if you're not boning Taylor Swift, you can't push the head coach. You can't do it.
Yeah.
That's that Taylor Swift magic that all the MAGA people love so much. I don't know why they're so upset about this.
It doesn't, I mean, it's not relevant to their lives in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. It's not relevant to my life.
I mean, it's no different than what Lady Gaga went through, and, when she was all the rage. I've seen them come and go. I've seen Gary Glitter go from Rock and Roll Part 2 to raping little boys. And,
being in prison, yes.
That's right. And that would just be great. Could you see them, Gary Glitter, walking into jail the first time? And, he's the new fish in prison. Wow. And then, da 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 da. Hey! Just
want to be part of my gang, yeah.
It is funny how triggered people are about Taylor Swift. It's just not threatening.
Well, it's partly because, people who are triggered probably have young daughters or young nieces or whatever who are big Swift fans, and they're getting in the faces of these older people who are MAGA hats. That's probably what the problem is.
Well, I mean, look, we're never going to agree on anything. The bottom line is that you can't be threatened by a songwriter and a performer, for God's sakes. And I didn't say anything about Usher. Somebody was posted online how exhausted he looked, and I said,
well, he's not young, man. He is
45.
He's
45.
Old, really.
when I first read the post, I said, well, shit, if you were an usher and you had to seat 80,000 people in a stadium, you'd be fucking exhausted too.
Correct.
And then I realized, the artist usher. I'm sorry. See, this is what I do on social media. I want people to chuckle. I don't want people to, get angry. And I thought Usher did a fine job. Nothing wrong with it.
I mean,
I'm not going to not like Prince did, but it was good.
Watching Usher reminded me how sad it was that James Brown and Marvin Gaye didn't have the opportunity to do a Super Bowl, because back then, when they were in their prime, the Super Bowl would only have Up With People or the real Kilgore Rangerettes on, or the punt, pass, and kick competition. So
you're all dead. Up With People.
They're all dead.
Up with people. Up with people. You meet them wherever you go.
I actually knew somebody who was in Up With People.
They're the best kind of folks I know. If more people were for people, all people everywhere, there'd be a lot of few people to worry about, and a lot more people who care.
Thank you.
Yeah, God Almighty.
I like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
I thought when he ripped his shirt off that Usher was going full bore sexual healing on us.
Yeah, I
really did.
That's what made me think, well, they're stealing Marvin Gaye and James Brown's act right there by doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm getting out of here. 2 minutes after 6. I got a Cavaliers game to watch at 7:00. Let's hope they can keep it rolling. It's happening.
Wow. It's a happening.
It's a happening in Cleveland. So it's not a road game. We're back off the road. We'll see how we handle the first one back. Let's go for that 10 in a row, double-digit win streak.
Wow.
Bronk, thanks for joining me. I kept my promise about not mentioning the one ad.
Yeah, exactly. But you get us, though, don't you?
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back again on Friday to talk about whatever the fallout is in Northeast Ohio sports. Until next time, hasta la vista, Pastor Head. Good night.